put his mark fully on the JLP. He has to establish himself as the oldest train within the JLP, the winning combination, and the election is just less than 2 years away. You have to start to put your people instead. Now, some of the people in the party alone, many flights have left. Some might decide to take a flight out. Now is the time to give them the golden handshake and let them go slowly. Because look here, if they win the next election, those people you're talking about 80 years old and all like that, I think there will be changes.
Yeah.
I think
what I thought about with that is that given some of their ages, it might be best for them not to run the
next election. So you start to put them in out.
To give up their seat in the middle of that.
I think what this by-election tells you is that there is a value in putting in a candidate or a potential candidate early.
Yes.
Putting in a good caretaker who can really engraft themselves into the constituency and really do the good work. And a lot of this win tonight comes from the work of the last 2 years of her being actively involved in the life of East Portland. Portland.
Well, we've been talking. Hold on, Paul. We've been talking about Peter Phillips and Andrew Holness. But what of the General Secretary of the People's National Party?
That was another question coming
Julian
from
Robinson.
social media.
I think one of the things that hit me about Julian is that Julian is somebody who people saw with so much political potential.
Yes.
And I think somehow or the other he's lost his voice in the PNP milieu.
Yeah.
So much so that you can no longer discern his voice, which sounded so different, or even his leadership in his constituency. You do not see that being replicated in other
I had a
constituencies.
conversation about Julian Robinson earlier this week, and it was related to that. And I've had a few of those similar conversations, and what I glean is that people like him less since he has become General Secretary. It's almost as if the job of General Secretary, the political hatchet man, to go out there, where they push you out there to say, tell the people this or tell the people that, that they don't like him as much since he has been General Secretary, because of it's not a job that allows you to keep clean fingernails.
Well,
so to speak, politically.
I think people will know me that I didn't support the move for Julian Robinson to be General Secretary of the PNP. And it was a basic reason. You can't be deputies to 4 General Secretaries. It meant that somehow the party did not discern that you had the quality to be General Secretary. I can't be Deputy Commissioner of Police and 4 people who weren't even in the lineup come and turn Commissioner and I still turn Deputy. Right? Something is wrong there.
I just think he's lost. I think also that, well, we were supposed to be talking about the JP, but certainly I think the way I see Angela Brownberg practicing politics, I think the PNP could learn from her in terms of her on-the-ground strategy and how she's engaging her constituency. Because I think that is who the General Secretary was. That is what people were doing the last go-round.
I don't know that the PNPs are ready for another Burke General Secretary.
No, not in terms of just General Secretary, just in terms of how she's delivering. But I think that there is a concerted effort to block her out. That people are not focusing so much on how she's leading and how well she's doing. But I think she's doing very well in her constituency. Okay. And I think on committees in Parliament that I'm seeing her, even where she's not supposed to be, she's really making a good service.
No, I think what Dennis was getting is who do you consider as a possible replacement? That's what he was getting.
Going back to the Holness administration, I think it's pretty well known that the JLP leader has been trying to modernize the party and to refashion it in his image,
in spite of himself.
Yes, and he has a lot of.
Kind of put a decent twist to
He's trying, in spite of himself, not of himself, of itself, in spite of elements within the party who would be resistant to that modernization.
Which is the point I'm coming to, because the win tonight. Just look at the political dynamics in the country tonight. Yes, at 18 minutes going up to 8 o'clock, we have a JLP leader and Prime Minister whose political capital has just.
All right, so there you go. We are getting live feed from a number of news media houses. We're underground in East Portland, but the big news this evening is that Anne-Marie Vaz is now the winner of the by-election held today. She has created history, or she will create history when she's sworn in as the first female Prime Minister of Eastern Portland. It is interesting to note that Eastern Portland is a seat that has been traditionally held by the People's National Party for over 30 years. The by-election came about basically earlier this year with the passing of the late MP Bloomfield, and that led the way for a by-election. And the election had been heavily contested by both parties. The PNP had put up their first vice president, as he deemed himself, Damion Crawford. Probably the most popular person that the PNP has in the party today against the JLP's Anne-Marie Vaz. Persons will have to understand, persons are saying that it was an election between Anne-Marie Vaz and Damion Crawford. While that may be so in theory, those of us who understands the belly of politics, this was a PNP versus JLP race. The entire hierarchy of the PNP and the JLP were underground campaigning. So it was high stakes with respect to this election. A number of decisions will have to be taken now, as each person, each individual involved in this campaign will have to do an analysis, and we are waiting to hear the post-mortem of how the analysts will dissect the matter at hand. So there you have it. For those who are joining us, Anne-Marie Vaz has created history and has created a significant win, some 58% to 58% to the JLP, the PNP Damion Crawford 49 or so percent, 51 to 49% right there. And we're talking about she has reversed a margin of some 2,000 votes. The PNP had won the seat back in the last election by some 2,000 votes. The JLP tonight was able to erase that 2,000 and to put some 300 plus more votes on the table. So the big news popping tonight, Anne-Marie Vaz, and we are going through social media trying to just to get some information of what is going down for you over there in East Portland. All right, and we got the preliminary counts, and as I said before, it seems as if there's somewhat of a 2-3% margin right there. The pollsters were a little bit off in terms of the prediction, but what you can actually say, they were right. They had at least 3 to 4 polls had indicated that there would be a JLP win. They had predicted a larger margin, so they may have been a little bit off, but nonetheless, they were correct. The PNP's Vice President, Michael Phillips, he spoke to Nationwide News Network earlier, and he indicated that he was a little bit disappointed. Well, he didn't, not a little bit, he was very disappointed because I think the PNP machinery was very confident. I mean, all the PNP stalwarts, they were there. The campaign director was Maxine Henry Wilson. We saw former Prime Ministers Patterson and Simpson Miller. We saw Katie Knight, and the entire machinery was there. Also, as I said, we saw Andrew Holness and all the big wigs of the Jamaica Labour Party. So this was a race between the PNP and the JLP, and not more so Damion Crawford and Anne-Marie Vaz. But we hasten to say, though, that you have to commend Anne-Marie Vaz. She was put in the constituency from last year, and she has been on the ground working, and we understand that her foundation has been doing a lot of work over the last year on the ground. So while I may say that it was a race between the PNP and the JLP, we can't take anything away from the candidacy of Anne-Marie Vaz. She has to be congratulated. The PNP is going to have to look on the message in terms of some of the statements that were made on the platform. Another a thing that we'll have to look into, even though I haven't heard anybody said it, but the issue of party financing. Is the PNP attracting enough funding to run an election? And those of you who understand the politics takes cash. And the party with more money, will have an advantage in terms of doing some of the political work that is needed. So there you have it. Damion Crawford actually went on social media and he seems to have issued somewhat of a concession. We're not quite sure, but this is what he's posted. Supporters, colleagues, family, friends, thank you all for your hard work and endless support today and over the course of the campaign. The word is love. So we are not sure if that's a concession being made there by Damion Crawford. We will continue to give you highlights on the by-election recently held in East Portland. This is BOJTV Live. Keep it locked. We're giving you in the real format.